What's going on, everyone? So, Hostel is a very unique style of film, right? I mean, it is not for the weak of stomach. It is a just crazy, over the top, just torture, B word type franchise, right? You have three films that are all very similar. The first Hostel was very well received. I mean, there's still talked about to this day, right? And it is a good film in my opinion. Like I enjoy those films, but I also understand that it's not for everybody, right? Because again, it is real over the top. If you've seen the Hostel films, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't, well then, tread with caution. But we haven't had anything in the realm of Hostel for quite some time until now. We are actually getting a Hostel series. And I'm not going to lie, that sounds like a really good time. I am actually super pumped for that. Like I said, I don't mind Hostel. It's not like my favorite franchise or not something that like I'm like, it's not something that's like kind of in the back of the mind, right? It's not one of those films that you're like, oh, you know what I really want to watch is Hostel. But like if it's on or like it pops up randomly and I'm looking for something to find, like sure, I've seen it. Like it's one of those films I feel like if you have, don't eat, but check it out type thing. But nonetheless, we are getting a series from Hostel, and it's going to be from Eli Roth. Now, they don't have a studio or they don't have a distributor yet. So they don't have, like, it's not tied to like Netflix or anything like that, at least from all the information that I've read on it. But the project is in development at fifth season, the studio behind Severance, and again, does not have a distributor attached. Roth is set to direct and write with original franchise producer Chris Briggs. The two of them will also executive produce alongside Hostel alumni Mike Fleece. Also, Paul Giamatti. He is signed on to be the star for the it's put televised adaptation, but I don't think it'll be televised. It'll be to streaming. Now, first off, love me some Paul Giamatti. Great actor. I think he is going to kill it. I hope he is like the head of like the main organization. Like that would be pretty cool. I think he could play that role perfectly. I think that would be a lot of fun in that regard. But also, like, I love the idea of like many of these horror like you're seeing like the trend seems to be let's get over to streaming and create these like series in the horror space. And I know some people are kind of like, but I actually genuinely like the idea of like turning like most horror films or most horror franchises, period, I do think can translate well into a series. And I also think like with the series, you have more time to space stuff out. And again, if you have a good writer, good directing, good story, right, good acting, I think that you have a formula for success. And Eli Roth is the guy that, is best at this. And now you got the people, basically all the people that were on the actual film. And you're adding Paul Giamatti as your lead. So you got the acting down. It's just as long as you can tell a good story, have good delivery, I think to me this is a no-brainer. But I also like the idea of just these like horror franchises being turned into series because, like I said, it gives you so much more time to pace stuff out, right? Where a movie, you're trying to pack everything into, an hour and a half to 2 hours, where, you don't get as much time to explore certain things, right? Like the whole organization behind it. It's one of those things where you watch the film and you're like, man, I'd love to learn more. I'd love to like kind of see a little more insight, and I think it was part 2. You got a little more look inside, but like, I just think that's something in and of itself that you could really expand. It's something in and of itself that I think you could really make unique. You kind of take your time with the build up, right? Take your time also with the character development, right? You can kind of, again, because you're basically taking concept that's usually packaged into 2 hours tops, and you're spreading that over 8 to 10 hours for a series. Also, with a lot of these streamings, like you can just get away with a lot more than you could, right? You get away with a lot more than you can even in movies. Like, so to me, especially something like Hostel, that again, even a movie standpoint, was just crazy over the top and wild. I think you have that translate to a series like, Netflix, where they're like, yeah, like whatever you want, go wild, blood galore, right? Like, I just think you could have something that's just, because again, like, I've talked about in the past with certain things, like, even like the Scream franchise stuff like that. Like, you don't want something so over the top that it like takes away from the film, right? And you don't want something that's so gory and bloody and ridiculous. But something like Hostel, like that's what it is. So for me, looking at that, like the more the merrier, right? Because again, if you're going into the series of Hostel, you're going in with the expectation that it's going to be like the films, which is again, it's that torture P, right? Like it's that just over the top, just maddening, like wow, like that they just really did that to that person, right? And it's all on camera. I mean, it's all fake, but I mean, it's all on camera, right? Like you get to see some of the like crazy, just brutal things that get happened. Sorry, I'm just trying to phrase things a certain way because again, it's YouTube. So, but in general, like, so to me, it's like I am okay with it being just insane and pushing the envelope because that's the type of film that this is. Something like Scream, no, that's not what you're there for. I mean, obviously, you want a slash film, you want some awesome kills, right? You want some good ghost face, but you're also there for the whodunit. Like, there's just so many other things to go to unpack, right? And I'm not saying Hostel, you don't want there to be a good, convincing, telling story, but you also want to see just like the various rooms and what people would do for money and it's also one of those things that kind of hit a little more, right? Like it's just I don't know, it's something that this is one of those franchises that you know is real to an extent. It's obviously dramatized a little over the top, but there are these sick things going on in the world as far as like, you got these pretty women that are luring men and now they're captured and you have the elites paying and doing all this stuff. And it's just, it kind of, again, it's one of those things that it kind of just like, you could kind of put yourself in and it's like, I never want to go to Europe, right? Like I don't ever want to find out these. I am never staying in a hostel, right? Like it's a different world, right? But it's a world that is very real, and I am always like captured by those type of films, right? Like I love me a good paranormal, supernatural style horror film, but to me, it's I don't necessarily buy that stuff, so I'm not like it's not something that I'm like, oh, like that happens every day, right? And they're usually just so over the top. Like even people that do believe, in ghosts and demons and all that stuff, right? Like even in their beliefs in cases, it's not that over the top, right? Like somebody isn't like spinning their head all the way around. Like it's just like there's certain limitations, right? Where something like I've talked about with like The Strangers or Scream or even Hostel, like that's something that you can put yourself in and go like, yeah, like this kind of crazy stuff actually happens in the world. So I'm excited. I find the more films based in realism to be a little more just terrifying, right? I just think they're scarier, right? Like one of my favorite lines ever in horror is the original Strangers, not this new terrible carbon copy remake. But the original Strangers, when he's like, "Why are you doing this?" Like, because you were home, right? Like that's terrifying. Like you can't explain crazy. Crazy is crazy, and there is real craziness out in this world, and it's just like those kind of things. I just think hit home a little harder than like some monster terrorizing or like Michael Myers or whatever. Again, I love those films, but it's kind of hard to like put yourself in like Friday the 13th film or a Nightmare on Elm Street film where something like Hostel, you're like, man, like yeah, like maybe I should stay away from certain areas, stay away from certain places, right? Like, and it's crazy, but Anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass a question to you. Let me know down in the comments below. What do you think? Love to hear it. Let me know. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel. What are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.